they're in it for the good reasons versus those who are in it to build like a name for themselves and become this like superstar or celebrity or whatever the case may be. But many times a lot of podcasters, I believe, they all start with that good and pure intention, and then along the way they grow into this humongous person that is no longer reachable. Like you cannot even relate with the person anymore. And then that's, for me, that's when it loses its value.
Yeah, yeah, and I still listen to all of the podcasters who produce content for people with disabilities. I mean, they're still wonderful people and wonderful
Yeah,
pod. I still
yeah,
love the content, but it's just I can't. It's not tangible to me. So it's
yeah,
almost like saying, well, I mean, I like watching you, but if you can't come over and let me talk to you, what's to some degree. I mean, all to their own, as we say, all to their own. But I would wonder in my heart, what then what's the point really? I don't really get that. So on Aaron's opinion, you guys don't need to worry about that. By the way, so if you want to tell me what a horrible person I am, how I'm deemed to go to hell, you are more than welcome to do so. Or you could even tell me that Aaron, I think you actually are a good person. It's just everybody else is deemed to hell. Well, you're more than welcome to say that too by writing an email to Aaron's opinion 6 at gmail.com.
yeah.
That is really the best way to get in touch with this podcast. You could, of course, I could tell you to send a message on my Facebook page, but none of you, everybody out there, you guys are too afraid to do it. So, why bother, right? It's a Facebook page. Right, people are too afraid, so I guess just send an email since you think I'm gonna everybody out there, they're like, oh my god, you're gonna attack me or something. No, really, I'm gonna listen to everything you have to say. So
Yeah.
one of the most important things that you brought up, this will definitely get the comments and the ratings or views or whatever up. Is the point? This is the point. Okay, this is the point where the content goes crazy. So
Yeah.
the point where in one of your now some of what you said in your most recent episode about bullying and some of the things that you said, I will choose not to cover in this episode of Aaron's opinion. But to say the very least, you talked about a really interesting topic, which is
Yeah.
important, which is being a whistleblower.
Yes.
And so, what I want to know, and what I think we need to learn about as a society, is how do we know in our heart, and it's not that simple,
Yeah.
when do I blow the whistle? When am I crying wolf? And when should I be humble and just go about doing the right thing and know that karma's a coming for someone who's not doing the
Yeah.
right thing? Your input on all of that, you may, of course, if you want, you can summarize what happened with your experience or not, but I would love my listeners and me, we would love your knowledge about that. So go right ahead.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so I truly, a lot of times you go into organizations and your main purpose, really, many of us, is when we seek a job, is to fulfill a need, like to pay your rent, to pay your bills, whatever the case may be. But I look at my jobs in a totally different way. While they do fulfill that purpose and part of my life, I view my jobs as a greater assignment, meaning, in my case, I am responsible for making sure that our healthcare delivery works for those who are dependent on it. So we have people who are seeking Medicare assistant or Medicaid assistant. They're really, really dependent on it. So going into this organization, I immediately sensed the things were off. And it wasn't too long before my staff members started telling me things that were really, really egregious. But then, they say it. And then at the same time, I'm this kind of person where I actually have to see it for myself. It's okay that they say it, that it happens. I'm not discounting it, but can I see it for myself before even I could take any action? So we went on with our lives, and not too long after, a few months into that organization, I find, what is it, four witnesses in my office one day. Out of the blue, I just show up. I came from another meeting, coming into my office just to take a breather so that I can maybe go to another meeting. And four staff members were waiting for me. And they had this bombshell to say. And we had been improperly denying healthcare to over 3 million members in so many s- and unprofessional ways, from frustrating a patient by continually denying medically necessary care, to just really even trying to convince you to get healthcare in a different setting because your healthcare costs way too much and we didn't want to pay for that. And I mean, the manner in which the organization dealt with these high utilizers, that's what we call them, the high utilizers. That means they utilize the most healthcare, and therefore they cost the most to cover. So in order for the organization to earn some great benefits that they wanted, the leadership of that organization made sure that those high utilizers would be frustrated to a point where they would either leave or they would be forced out. So that was the case. And trying to speak to leadership about it, and if the leadership is not willing to change their ways, well, you have no choice, because it's either my healthcare career will come to a standstill and I will be charged for, first of all, misusing and abusing federal dollars, to it's just not part of who I am. So in that case, none of the leadership was willing to listen and to change their ways. And in fact, the witnesses that came forward were being retaliated against in a really, really bad way. So um, the cost of whistleblowing really, it really did not even dawn on me that it could come with such great negativity. I was just at a point where I was not going to be a part of an organization that was mishandling so many patients. And I didn't feel right moving on with life, knowing that something really egregious is happening and I could do something, but I choose not to. And so for me, I sacrificed, and I saw it as I was willing to sacrifice my career, my influence in healthcare, so that these 3 million patients could get the care that they deserved and that they needed. And I never want to be part of a system that kills people. I don't want anyone's blood on my hands. So I just, at that point, it was the right thing to do, because we are human first. And if we cannot respect the fact that we are human beings first and foremost, then I don't think I want to be a part of that organization. So I'm always going to defend someone's human right before I defend an organization's profit. So that's how it ended. For me, it's just out, really, if the leadership is not willing to listen, then you have to take it to those who are willing to listen to do something. And when it comes to someone's human's right, then I think we all have a responsibility to make sure that we all give each other an opportunity to live a life that we are all proud of. And yeah, so that's pretty much why I arrived at that decision. I didn't even realize that I was whistleblowing until everyone, my friends, would be like, Christine, you're whistleblowing. And I said, okay, if that's the name that is given to what I'm doing, fine. But I could not live with myself, because I had experienced those patients for myself. They had come to me. And therefore, not all of them, but some of them had. I remember one patient coming in like twice, a very elderly lady, and they had performed surgery in the wrong leg purposefully. And it was just really egregious things that were happening. So for me as a human being, there's no way I could just live with myself. So I chose to do that, knowing that it will produce a greater benefit than the struggles or the pain that I was going through at that point.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
and for me, you just answered the question. The answer is you become a whistleblower when you know that you need to blow the whistle when someone else's life is in your hands.
Yes, exactly.
That's the answer. That's the
Mm,
answer.
that is it.
I am so I need to stress and I need to say that whether I believe everything that you just said or not, Everything that Christine just said is her. She is entitled to say everything that she just said, and she's entitled to share her facts and her opinions, and that everything she just said are her opinions about what just happened in her life. And I am not a lawyer. But I certainly hope that you secretly went home and maybe thought about writing a letter to someone in the legal field about this situation after it happened. I certainly have a feeling that you did, and I hope you did, right?
Yeah, attorneys were involved. Attorneys were involved. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah. Yeah. But it's one of those experiences that,
Yeah.
you look back and I honestly have no regrets
Good.
whatsoever.
Well,
Yeah,
good.
because the patients now have good care. They were moved out of that organization and the
Mm-hmm.
government worked in their favor, and that's all that we needed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there needed to be some sort of, I'm guessing, it sounds to me like there needed to be some sort of an administrative legal hearing that resulted from this. Right?
Yeah, it was administrative. Yeah, there were several behind the scenes conversations taking place with the regulators. And the good thing is that our healthcare system, as much as it has its ups and downs, when it comes to regulators, when they see an egregious act happening
Mm.
and they have the evidence for it, they really act. And in this case, I commend the California state for moving over 3 million members from that
Oh
organization.
my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. God bless you for that. You don't need me to thank you. You know that was absolutely the right thing to do. And
Yeah.
I would venture to guess that some of those millions of people probably had pre-existing conditions, if not maybe disabilities. So that
Oh
would.
yes, we had a lot of our membership that were, special needs, and they had disabilities and elderlies too, and a lot of immigrants as well who really were not educated with our healthcare system. It was a really, really um, tough situation.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Well, there's that situation. That's an interesting one, but it shows how we can have some really serious problems that if we don't pay attention to these serious problems in our society,
Yeah.
these things, people can get hurt. So that's why people, need to know when to blow the whistle, and need to. So this would be a really good reason why people should just do their job properly the whole time, so that they don't,
Yes.
so that we don't have to worry about should we blow a whistle or become a whistleblower in the first place. But
Exactly.
that is. I will be frank with you. None of what you said surprises me in the slightest, but that's still very, very concerning. I mean, that's incredibly concerning. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you're not surprised because I was totally shocked, Aaron.
Well, I
Oh
mean,
my
in
God.
America, I mean, and I don't know how long you've been living here in this great country, but I mean, even in America, we have problems with gross corruption. Even in America, unfortunately, every country has people, and some of those people happen to be corrupt people in every society and in every country. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is it is very sad. It is very sad and very concerning, especially when it relates to healthcare and people with disabilities. So yeah.
yeah. I agree. I totally agree. I think that's where I got the most surprise is that why would we do this to another human being? But then again, that's a whole nother conversation.
Why to do it to someone else? Because maybe some people truly are evil and just want to take money.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe the I mean, it's sad to think of it so directly, but maybe in my opinion and in my estimation, maybe there really is some evil in the world, and I believe that to be true. As I said before, karma's a coming. You know.
yes, yes, yes,
Wow, I don't even want to think about the level of karma that someone would have to endure for the rest of their life, knowing that they did that to someone with a disability. I mean, that's low.
it's
And
really bad.
I've heard some, and I mean, I'm not going to get us too far. I guess the term would be too off the beaten path. But I've had some really bad stuff happen to me in my life.
Wow,
Oh,
wow.
sure, as everybody does, and you have to overcome it. You just have to stand up and overcome things. But that's really That's impressive. That's low. That's it never